3 years ago, a man in California made $340,000 in a single year. Luxury SUV, high-rise apartment, expensive vacations, perfect life online. And then one random Tuesday morning, his company fired him. 6 months later, he was secretly borrowing money from family just to survive. Meanwhile, another man living 15 minutes away was making less than half that income. No Rolex, no luxury lifestyle, no fake success image online. But when the economy got worse, his life barely changed. No panic, no desperation, no financial collapse. Why? Because one man had a high income, the other man had multiple income streams, and those are not the same thing. Most people think rich people become wealthy because they make more money. That is not the real reason. The real reason is much darker. Wealthy people understand something average workers realize too late. Depending on one paycheck is one of the most dangerous financial positions in modern life. Right now, millions of people believe they are financially safe because they have a good job. But their entire life depends on one company continuing to pay them every month. One boss, one salary, one source of income holding everything together. If that disappears, the car payments, rent, subscriptions, insurance, and lifestyle immediately start collapsing. That is why rich people quietly build income streams long before they actually need them. Not after disaster happens, before, because they understand something most people ignore emotionally. The moment your survival depends completely on one paycheck, somebody else controls more of your life than you think. Society trained people to worship stable jobs, good grades, good college, good salary. That became the dream. And decades ago, maybe that was enough. But modern life changed. Companies now fire thousands of employees through one email. Entire industries disappear in a few years. Artificial intelligence replaces tasks faster every year. Inflation quietly destroys purchasing power, while expenses keep rising. And suddenly people making good money discover something terrifying. A high salary can disappear very fast. That is why wealthy people think differently about money. Average workers focus on earning. Wealthy people focus on building assets, building ownership, building systems that continue producing income even when they stop actively working. Because active income alone is fragile, no matter how impressive it looks. If your lifestyle depends entirely on you constantly trading time for money, your freedom is still limited. And that pressure changes people psychologically. It changes whether they can leave toxic jobs, whether they can take risks, whether they can say no. That is why wealthy people become obsessed with options, because options create freedom, and freedom is the real thing money buys. Not luxury watches, not designer clothes, not social media lifestyles. Freedom. Freedom to survive emergencies calmly. Freedom to walk away from bad situations. Freedom to think long-term instead of paycheck to paycheck. But most workers spend years increasing lifestyle instead of increasing ownership. Every raise becomes a bigger apartment, better car, more subscriptions, more expensive habits, and after a few months, the stress quietly returns. Only now, the numbers are bigger. Wealthy people avoid this trap carefully because they understand every monthly payment steals future flexibility. The average person sees financing as convenience. Wealthy people often see it as dependence. Imagine two people earning the exact same salary. One spends almost everything maintaining an impressive lifestyle. The other quietly invests part of every paycheck into assets producing future income. At first, their lives look similar. In fact, the spender may even appear more successful. Better clothes, better vacations, better Instagram photos. But give it 10 years. One becomes trapped maintaining appearances. The other becomes financially harder to break. That is because multiple income streams change life psychologically. The first time somebody earns money outside their main job, something shifts mentally. Maybe it is only $50 from investments, maybe a small online business, maybe digital products, maybe rental income. The amount does not matter at first. What matters is the realization. Money can enter my life from places other than one employer. That realization becomes powerful because dependence creates fear, options reduce fear, and fear controls far more lives than people admit. Right now, there are workers across America tolerating stress, burnout, and disrespect because financially they feel trapped. One interrupted paycheck could destroy everything. But wealthy people slowly reduce that vulnerability by building systems around themselves. Investments, businesses, assets, ownership. Things capable of generating income repeatedly. That is why rich people stop seeing money the way consumers do. Most people see money as something earned only through labor. Wealthy people increasingly see money as workers themselves. Every invested dollar becomes something capable of producing more dollars later. But the problem is, ownership grows invisibly for years. A luxury purchase feels exciting immediately. Investing feels slow. A shopping spree creates instant dopamine. Building assets feels emotionally boring. That is why most people never stay patient long enough for compounding to change their lives. Modern culture rewards visible consumption, while wealth grows quietly in the background. Social media made this infinitely worse. Every day, millions of people scroll through luxury vacations, designer clothes, expensive apartments, and fake online lifestyles. Slowly, people begin spending emotionally, trying to look successful instead of becoming financially secure. But appearances are unbelievably expensive to maintain. That is why some people making $200,000 still feel financially stressed constantly. Their lifestyle expanded faster than their freedom. Meanwhile, somebody else earning less quietly buys investments, assets, and future cash flow year after year. At first, nobody notices the difference. Then, eventually, one person looks rich while the other becomes financially untouchable. And honestly, building multiple income streams today is easier than ever before. One person can now build online businesses, digital products, investment portfolios, content libraries, or automated systems from a laptop. Most start small, many fail initially, but wealthy people understand something average workers ignore. One successful additional income stream can permanently change a future. Because even a few $100s invested consistently over years becomes huge. But most people sabotage themselves before compounding ever has time to work. Why? Because humans are terrible at valuing delayed rewards emotionally. Average consumers ask, what can this money buy today? Wealthy people ask, what can this money produce repeatedly for the next decade? That single mindset difference changes entire lives. One person consumes future freedom through lifestyle upgrades. The other quietly purchases ownership. And eventually the gap becomes impossible to ignore. One person must continue working intensely just to maintain life. The other slowly gains more control over time itself. That is the real reason rich people never depend on one income source. Because they understand how fragile dependence really is. One company should not control your survival completely. One paycheck should not decide whether your life collapses. Wealthy people build financial pillars specifically to avoid that vulnerability. Imagine standing above deep water supported by one wooden pole. As long as it holds, you feel stable. But wealthy people build platforms supported by multiple pillars. If one weakens, the structure still survives. Right now, somewhere in America, somebody just received a paycheck. Before the month ends, most of it will disappear, maintaining a lifestyle designed to impress people who barely care. But somebody else will quietly use part of that same paycheck differently. They will buy ownership, investments, assets, future cash flow, future freedom. At first, nobody notices the difference. One person stays dependent on active income forever. The other becomes calm, stable, and financially free. And the moment you begin building income streams beyond one paycheck, you slowly begin buying your freedom back. Disclaimer: this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. We are not financial advisors and are not responsible for any financial decisions, losses, or actions taken based on this content. Always do your own research and consult a qualified financial professional before making financial decisions.